Today we're checking out this Assault Series rear bumper for the 2016 to 2023 Tacomas. If you want a tougher protection for the back of your truck, more clearance out on the trail, and a clean, aggressive look, then this bumper is a solid bolt-on upgrade over that thin factory piece, so it's definitely worth checking out. All right, right away here, the key feature is gonna start with the high clearance design that tucks up for better departure angles. So you're less likely to drag that bumper on any steep driveways or off-road ledges when you're out there hitting the trail. You're getting heavy-duty recovery shackle mounts for safe pull points when you or your buddy needs a tug. The corners are gonna be shaped to protect the bed sides, and there's a flat spot on the top edge that works like a step so you can reach into the bed a little easier. It reuses factory mounting points so the fit is tight and the lines follow the truck's contours. Most folks are gonna move to a bumper like this when the stock one is getting bent, rusty, or just too light for trail use. And this gives you stronger protection, better angles, and a tougher look without adding a bunch of weight or weird brackets. When it comes to the construction on this, you're looking at super thick steel plating with strong welds and a textured black powder coat finish to fight chips, salt, and road grime over time. These mounting brackets are beefy and they line up with the frame rails, and the hardware is built to handle real truck use. The edges are super clean so it sits straight and doesn't rattle, and the whole thing is built tough to take hits that would fold that factory bumper. Now, as far as the pricing goes on this, it's coming in right around the $500 price range. For a steel rear bumper with recovery points and a clean bolt-on fit, that's a solid value if you want protection and style without jumping to a full custom setup that could potentially break the bank. When it comes to this installation, it's only going to get rated 1 out of 3 riches on the difficulty meter since it's a direct fit replacement for the factory unit. You can get everything done in about 1 hour of your time if everything goes smoothly. So let's head on out to the shop. We're going to give you a detailed walkthrough of exactly how this install process goes.
Tools required for this install include an impact gun, a clip remover tool, Phillips head screwdriver, 13mm wrench, an extension, 13mm socket, 12, 16, and 17mm swivel sockets.
Today we're installing a rear bumper on our Tacoma. First, we're going to watch a quick uninstall video showing you how to remove your factory rear bumper, and then I'll meet you back here for the install.
So the first step of our install is to take off our license plate. Now for this, I'm going to use a Phillips head socket. However, this is going to depend on what hardware that you have holding on your license plate. You may need a 10mm socket. Now that our license plate is removed, that's going to expose one of the clips that we'll have to remove in order to remove our bumper here. Next, we can head underneath and disconnect the wiring harness for our hitch plug as well as our license plate lights. So our next step is to disconnect our hitch plug. This is just going to have a tab up on top. We're just going to press down on that tab and pull back. That's going to release our wiring harness. And then what we can do is just pop that out completely because we're going to have to swap that over. So I usually take a flathead screwdriver and just depress these clips that are just holding it onto the bumper here. So once both of those clips are through, we'll be able to wiggle this out and forward. So after we've removed our hitch plug here, there's a wiring harness right next to it up at the top that's connected to the body and that's also connected to the bumper. What I'm going to do is disconnect this and then we can move on to our license plate lights. Just have to depress that tab and pull back. So our next step is to remove our license plate lights and disconnect the wiring harness for this. Now what I like to do is just pop it through the bumper. That makes it a little bit easier because this is kind of a tight space to work with, especially to unplug a wiring harness. Now what I'm going to do is take a flathead screwdriver and just depress the clips on either side of the light. That's really what's holding it into the back bumper, and we're going to have to swap these over in just a second to our new bumper anyway. So if you just push forward and depress those clips just like we did with the hitch plug. we'll be able to remove this light. What we can do next is remove the couple of clips that are holding on this trim piece. Now, I already kind of pried up on this trim piece here, so it is going to be pretty easy to remove. Now, if this is the first time that you're removing this trim piece, it is going to be pretty difficult to remove, but it's only held in by a couple of clips on the bottom and then a couple of clips on the front behind the license plate and 2 on either side down at the corner of the trim piece. So I'm gonna take a soft pry tool and remove this clip up top, and then we can head down to the corner. I'm going to use that same soft pry tool, take out this clip, we can remove the one on the other corner, and then we can pull off our trim piece. So like I said, I already pulled up on this and removed most of these clips. Now this trim piece is going to be a little bit difficult at first to take off just because of the multiple clips, but this is going to expose most of the bolts that we need to remove in order to remove our bumper as a whole. So we can put this to the side and grab our tools for our next step. Next, we can remove the 2 bolts underneath that are holding on the bottom portion of our bumper. I'm going to use a 12mm socket and my electric ratchet to remove those. Then we can do the same thing on the other side. Now directly above the frame rail from the ones that we just removed, there's going to be 2 more 12mm bolts. I'm going to use the same 12mm socket to remove them. Then we can repeat that for the other side. Last but not least, we can remove the 2 bolts that are in the middle, holding our bumper onto the hitch assembly here. I'm using that same 12mm socket. At this point, what we can do is just remove our rear bumper by pulling back.
So now we have a couple things that we need to transfer over from our stock bumper to the new one. We've got our trailer plug that just has these 2 clips that we can depress to pop that out. And then it's pretty much the same thing with our license plate lights. 2 clips, we can pop that whole thing out and pop it into our new bumper. So I'm gonna start with our trailer plug. We've got these 2 silver clips. Push one in on one side, push in the other. Pop it out, and then you can pop that into your new bumper. You've got the circle part lining up with the circle hole. Pop that in, and then come over to the license plate light, do the same thing, push in on the tab at the bottom, and then the top. Slide that out, and then just line it up, pop it in. Do the same thing for the license plate light on the other side. Next we can install our bumper mounting brackets. Now our 2 holes on top are spaced towards the front. So that's how it's gonna go on. You don't wanna have it this way where this is sticking out further than your frame. So slap that on. We're reusing the factory bolts that we took out of this spot from the factory bumper. I'm gonna push it all the way in up against the frame, and then take a 12mm swivel socket, tighten down those bolts. And then do that same thing on the other side. Now we can grab our bumper and slide it onto our brackets. Next we can come underneath to the side of our bumper. We're threading in 2 of our M10 bolts into the plate that we installed. We've got lock washers and flat washers on these bolts. And then you can grab a 16mm swivel socket and tighten those down. Do the same thing on the other side. Next we need to put our M8 bolts in these bottom 2 holes. Now the inner one is a little harder to get to, so I'm taking my flat washer and nut and sliding those into place. And then I'm going to hold that nut with my hand and thread in my bolt with flat washer. Now I'm going to tighten this one first before I put this one in, just so that I'm able to get to it. Just get a 13mm wrench on the nut and a 13mm socket on the bolt. And on the back one, putting your bolt in flat washer, another flat washer on top, and nut, and then 13mm socket and wrench. Do that same thing on the other side. Now we're going to grab our license plate light connector to connect up to our light. Press it all the way in, do the same thing on the other side. Now we'll grab our trailer plug connector. Press that in until it clicks. And now lastly, we can install our D-rings. So just thread that portion out, slide it through your hook, and thread it in. Do that same thing on the other side.
So that'll wrap up this review and install of the Assault Series rear bumper for your 2016 to 23 Tacoma. Thank you for watching, and for all things Tacoma, keep it right here at ExtremeTerrain.com.